Around the year 1000 AD, Cairo was already one of the most powerful cities in the Islamic world. Located along the banks of the Nile River, it stood at the crossroads of Africa, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. Merchants, scholars, craftsmen, and travelers from distant lands filled its streets. Markets overflowed with spices, textiles, gold, and glass. Mosques and palaces dominated the skyline, while caravans arrived daily carrying goods from across the desert. But Cairo was not always the great city that it would become. To understand its origins, we must go back long before the year 1000 to the ancient civilizations that first settled along the Nile. For thousands of years, the Nile River shaped life in Egypt. Its annual floods brought fertile soil to the valley, allowing agriculture to flourish in an otherwise harsh desert landscape. Ancient Egyptian cities rose along its banks, including the nearby city of Memphis, which served as the capital of Egypt for centuries during the age of the pharaohs. Temples, pyramids, and monumental architecture once dominated the region. However, over time, political power shifted, and new rulers came to control Egypt. By the 7th century AD, Egypt was conquered by Arab armies expanding from the Arabian Peninsula. With the arrival of Islamic rule, a new chapter in Egyptian history began. The first major Islamic settlement in the region was a city called Fustat, founded in 641 AD by the Arab general Amr ibn al-As. Fustat quickly grew into an important administrative and commercial center. Located near the Nile and connected to trade routes across the desert and the Mediterranean, it became the heart of Islamic Egypt for several centuries. Merchants traded textiles, grain, papyrus, and luxury goods, while ships sailed along. The Nile carrying supplies between Upper and Lower Egypt. But the city we now know as Cairo would emerge later, during the rise of a powerful new dynasty. In 969 AD, the Fatimid Caliphate conquered Egypt and established a new royal city just north of Fustat. They named it Al-Qahira, which means the victorious. This new city was designed as the political and ceremonial capital of the Fatimid rulers. Massive walls surrounded the city, protecting palaces, mosques, gardens, and administrative buildings. At the center stood the great palaces of the caliphs, symbols of the dynasty's authority and wealth. Soon after the founding of Cairo, one of the most important institutions in the Islamic world was built there, the Al-Azhar Mosque. Established in 970 AD, Al-Azhar would eventually become one of the oldest universities in the world. Scholars gathered here to study theology, law, philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. Students traveled from across the Islamic world to learn from its teachers, turning Cairo into a major center of knowledge and intellectual life. By the year 1000 AD, Cairo and Fustat together formed one of the largest urban centers in the region. The city's markets were among the most vibrant in the medieval world. In the great bazaars, traders sold silk from Asia, spices from India, gold from Africa, and glassware produced by local artisans. Narrow streets wound through neighborhoods filled with workshops, homes, mosques, and small courtyards where daily life unfolded. Water carriers walked the streets distributing water from the Nile, while bakers prepared fresh bread in stone ovens that served entire neighborhoods. The Nile itself was the lifeline of the city. Every year its floodwaters nourished the surrounding fields, ensuring stable harvests that supported the large urban population. Boats moved constantly along the river, transporting grain, vegetables, and building materials. Bridges and ferries connected different parts of the city, while the riverbanks became centers of economic activity. Cairo also became an essential hub for long-distance trade. Caravans traveled across the Sahara Desert bringing gold, ivory, and slaves from West Africa. Other routes connected Cairo to Damascus, Baghdad, and the Arabian Peninsula. The city's location allowed it to control trade between Africa, the Mediterranean, and the Middle East, making it one of the most prosperous cities of its time. Architecture in Cairo reflected the power and culture of the Fatimid dynasty. Elegant mosques with tall minarets stood beside large gates and fortified walls. Decorative stonework and carved wooden doors displayed the artistic traditions of Islamic craftsmanship. Within the royal palaces, gardens and courtyards provided shade from the desert heat, while fountains cooled the air. The city was both a center of government and a thriving place of everyday life. People from many backgrounds lived here. Arabs, Egyptians, Persians, Jews, Christians, and traders from distant lands all contributed to the city's cultural diversity. Languages, traditions, and ideas mixed together in the markets, schools, and neighborhoods of Cairo. Religious life played a central role in the city as well. The call to prayer echoed from mosque towers throughout the day, reminding residents of the rhythm of spiritual life. Religious scholars debated theology and law, while pilgrims passed through Cairo on their journeys toward Mecca. By the beginning of the second millennium, Cairo had already established itself as one of the great cities of the medieval world. Its political influence, economic power, and intellectual importance would continue to grow in the centuries that followed. Dynasties would rise and fall, new rulers would reshape the city, and its streets would witness countless moments of history. But the foundations laid during this early period transformed Cairo into a city that would endure for more than 1,000 years. Today, Cairo is one of the largest cities in Africa and the Middle East, home to millions of people, and surrounded by monuments from many eras of history. Yet the origins of this vast metropolis can still be traced back to those early centuries, when Al-Qahira first rose beside the Nile. The walls, mosques, markets, and river that shaped life in the year 1000 helped create the city that continues to stand at the heart of Egypt today.